What in the Florida sun? We are at Dean Loucks, the Art of Design, his compound here in Sarasota, Florida, for our first ever little Keep the Hotel Empty field trip. See what our interviewees have on the outside of the hotel.
Welcome. You're here.
Yeah, very excited.
Where all the magic happens.
Yeah. This is the first field trip we've done is Keep the Hotel Empty, so I'm grateful that you've extended the offer to us.
You're welcome. You know, the having you here ensures that the hotel is empty.
That's right.
Because no one's there.
Full on. I always say we take the hotel with us. Yeah.
That's a great concept, though.
We're mobile.
Yeah, you know, for what, my whole life has just been visual. And so it's kind of hard to describe it. You know, it was great. Sit down and tell the story.
Exactly.
I think people would enjoy seeing what we have.
Most definitely.
What's happened.
Most definitely.
So we were looking for a coach, a condo, a house for 9-10 months. It felt special, and I thought within the first few minutes, we should probably put an offer on it. But
so some of that recognizing a good palette, a good canvas you saw in this place.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've done this, but this is it was time for another project. What we've done to it is a creation, and then the artwork on the inside is all had to be painted and created, and now I've got my studio that I can create out of.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's really, it's an extension of your personality everywhere.
That's very cool. That's very cool when you can say that and actually feel that in your living space.
Oh, yeah. Give you a tour inside?
Yeah. So tell me why the significance of the turtle painting. It's like that's you cannot miss. That's the crown jewel there. Why? What's meaningful for you to make sure that got represented that starkly and obviously?
Well, this last summer when I was back in Indiana at the shop, I painted. I wanted to do some really large paintings, and I knew that we had big walls, but I didn't know where it would look right. So I just did them. We'll see how they look later on. So it's just
I love that philosophy.
And I don't care if I have 1,000 paintings sitting around not sold. It's not about selling them; it's about doing them. And if you do things and you do it out of the heart, you do it because you want to, then other things happen from it. So every time I do a commission piece, and I maybe overthink it, and then I let it sit longer than what I should, go back and then rethink it and just make sure that everything's, this I did for me, and it just is really cool. If you come up close and look at it, you have to see what it's made out of, because far away it has a look, but then you see all the stringy paint and the way that it's created just to get the colors. So there's gold back here with blue on top, and so there's every color laid back on top to get the final look. If you take a blank canvas and then you spray the stringy paint on it, it doesn't cover very much because it's so thin, right? So then you've got to put enough layers down to get a color. So obviously there was a dark color behind it, and then that was sprayed on top, and that was on top of that, and then there's red that isn't bright red anymore. That's kind of bright red, but that isn't, so that had some blue on top of it. And once you start going, it's like, I need more color, I need more coverage. And so then you get, this starts to get darker, you want that real light up the edge. And so it starts to kind of take place, but it's like, well, I just need more, I need to keep going until everything's been covered with some kind of color. And then I can start toning it in so it looks like something. Now the whole thing could be done with a paintbrush, but in the end I've worked with watercolors extensively, chalk, pencil, ink, pen and ink, India ink, all the different mediums between oils and automotive paints, and I'll show you some others that are done with automotive paint that allowed me to do the paintings quickly and do a lot of them in 250 in a year. But you learn something. So it's not that every day I want to do, a whole painting in a day and the next day and then end up with another 250. But by doing that, it gets you to a different level that if you've never done it, you can't say you did it, and there's things that you couldn't have learned unless you did it.
So it's less of really an aha moment than it is more some type, the repetition to give yourself the chance to discover you need lavender, you need lime.
That's exactly right. Yeah, this is a custom KitchenAid piece that we did. We had a contract with KitchenAid for years, And I think at one time we probably did 120 for them in 1 year.
That were all different?
All different. Mm-hmm. There's one that matches a motor coach.
The motor toaster.
The motor toaster. There you go. Yeah, I like it. So there's an example of automotive paint.
That's what I was just gonna guess.
So I come up with I call it the art of removal, because it wasn't about how you applied the paint, it's how you remove it, and you remove it with thinner. So now you're trying to get something to look like something by taking paint away, and then you're taking something that's fluid and moving, and how do you get it to stay and dry right where you want it so that it looks like something at the end. Here's my my work studio. So
with the Easter Island head right there.
oh, this is just a great place to design. Anytime I design a motor coach, the paintings would all kind of happen here. And this is an example of the helicopter. If we go over to see it, you'll see the finished paintwork on a, something like this, but on a grand scale. And it's not a motorhome, but it is a flying piece of equipment, so that's kind of unique. This is one of the new motorhomes that just got delivered.
That's awesome.
And then with this project, it's not just the motor coach, but you have a matching trailer that goes behind it too. Yeah, so through the design process of the house, then it's like, well, we gotta have something cool like this in there. So
I love that.
This is the bathroom, and then there's custom painting up on the wall there.
We'll swap spots with Seth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too cool.
So this is one of the new ones, and it's big. That's 4 foot by 6 foot. So this, again, here's lime green up here. You wouldn't necessarily know to use lime green there, and lime green up here right next to the blues. So you got cool colors and warm colors, and white and dark. So you got pure white up there, and you got black down here, right? So it's changing as it goes through. And then within, you've got maybe more cooler colors with the blues, and then warm colors with the oranges, and the same thing going on up here. So you get them all together, and it gives you something kind of intense.
I love how the highlight under his right hand wing pops it. It's so.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah. Oh,
right
the pink. Yeah, right. So that's a pink.
Yeah.
So you gotta, that's what I was saying before about thinking outside the box of what colors you're gonna put where, because if you painted this the way it looked in the photograph, it gets kind of blah, and I'm just trying to see how much color I could put in and get something exciting to happen. So opposite of color is no color. And for not having color, there's actually a lot going on, because there's golds, there's copper, there's white, silver, and I thought I was going to start and just do a black and white turtle. And this is as close as I got, because it's like, well, it just needs a little warmth. If I could just warm it up a little bit, I'll get a little more
so the gold,
fidelity.
Did the gold sneak in first?
I think the copper probably snuck in. Yeah, well, yeah. They're all on their different layers, and so out of any piece, people tend to like this one, so that's good. So this piece here is a real interesting piece, and it's got a great story behind it. So when you get into something like this, this is the automotive paint,
right?
The art of removal, and so you just get very unique patterns. You got some runs in it. It's just to do something like this. I could do another painting that looked like this at first glance, but whatever is going on here for patterns happened on this painting. And that's what I really liked about doing this style, because when someone buys the original of this, they truly got an original. If I try to blow the paint out like this again and get the circles that are going on in there, and these, they're gonna blow out totally different.
I was gonna say, it's just not possible to recreate.
Well, it's the temperature of the day, it's the humidity, it's the thinners that were in the paint at the time, and how much they had, and how thick they were put on. And you can't duplicate it to get the same look. I could duplicate the painting and have a guy in a motorized cart looking at a machine there, pulling the handle with a happy flower, but I can't get all the nuances. This one started from being on a cruise ship, and I was say it's a 2-3 week cruise. And it was a bright sunny day, and it's like, I want to go outside. And in order to get outside, they made you go through the casino. And I go through the casino, and people were hovering over their machines and didn't want other people to look at them, which I thought was weird. And then they had their lanyards on, they were plugged into the machine. And so it was just different for me. So I left kind of disturbed. So I sat outside on the patio, and I did like 4 or 5 sketches of, I'm going to do a painting of this, of what I just saw. But how do I make it right? And so what was weird is, the guy's in there in his motorized cart, and he doesn't care what he wears anymore. So he's got plaid and flowers on.
Awesome combo.
He's strapped in so he doesn't fall out, and he's a little hard of hearing, and he's been all these different places around the world gambling, and so he's collected his buttons as he's gone around. But all he sees is dollar signs. And so the dollar signs are spinning here. You can see there's, it looks a little blurry.
Yeah.
And then he's a winner. And the dollars are over here, and they're here, and they're here, and the coins are falling out. And now he's changed where he gets fed intravenously now. So it just happens like quickly, which has nothing to do with that other than the amount of time it takes to get rewarded.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And then what happens is he's spending so much time in here, and all he cares about is the winning and the dollars, that when the door opens up and he sees the blue sky and a happy flower, then maybe he thinks there's more that he could be doing with his life. Well, here's the Notre Dame guitar that we talked about. And what makes this special is the fact that it's an officially licensed product of Notre Dame.
Did this start as bare wood when you had it?
Yes. Yeah, we would have primed it and then started the paint job on it. This is the same way as we did the piano. Yep. That's just another fun piece to have where it's not just all paintings. I don't play, but I appreciate anything that a company or individual does that is like the best. So, we were over at Joel's place, Guacamole.
Yeah.
And I saw this over here, but I was finally getting done with the house enough that I could relax. And I'm like, every time I got friends in, we take him over to his place, and he's just so creative in what he does. And here's the spray can. Now, I do very little with spray cans, but the stringy paint we've been talking about is with spray cans.
Right.
And paint gun wouldn't necessarily look as good in here.
No.
But he's got this, and he's got over 3,400 pieces of wood that he used and glued them all together to make this can. And,
this wood one is really cool. It's really unique compared to the other ones too.
So it's great to have his work here. This just fits what we do, and coming down the hall, you see something unique and different. And
yeah, well, a huge shout out to Guac, and he's the reason we're here.
Yeah, right. Right.
The family spreads.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's too cool.
So the idea with this in here was, we got the dark wood and got the bamboo, and so the painting I wanted to look like the bamboo. Another thing with this painting is that it has to go in this room with the light on that side, because the highlights that are up here and the way that it's lit, if you took that into the other room
and
the lights over there, it doesn't, your eye sees it and it comes alive when it's in here, but it would that much kill it and go, something's off. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it certainly gives that middle bit a lot of depth with the light naturally going across how you have the highlights.
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of the same thing, let guests choose if they want to be on the pool side or the bamboo side. But this painting here, I had grander ideas of taking like a gallon of paint and standing on the ladder and throwing it, and it'd be this big blob that came down and just splashed through all 4 of them. And I couldn't get it to happen. So as I did more and more, they got wetter, and then the paint moved, and then it's like, well, I gotta put some gold on, I gotta put more black, I gotta put more white on, I keep going back kind of almost in circles as we talked about before.
I was gonna say, this amount of 70-hour exercise.
Yeah, and then I spray some water on it and stuff. So in the end, it's perfect, but I didn't know what it was gonna be like when I started. It's really textured, and it's cool to see how everything just flowed and moved, and it just did its thing. So it looks great in here, and this is just perfect for this room.
What about this piece? We didn't say anything about this when we first walked in. This thing.
Oh yeah. Well, this is one that kind of matches the one that glows. So at night it looks better. During the day, I mean, it's just gorgeous to look at. So It's a big glass panel that is backlit by millions of LED lights that can either change color or the intensity changes of the light, so you can make it brighter or softer. And yeah, it's just a cool entry piece. So I gave up a big wall that I could have another big painting on for this, but this is so
I love
cool.
that's the way you see it. I gave up the wall.
Well, yeah, I did. But yep, here's where I can do my paintings. So this gets me out of the house and in my own area where it can be quiet and plenty of windows. Again, this is one of the new paintings. This is probably more detailed than any that I've done for a while. You know, it's kind of like you just keep getting closer and looking at all the little lines that are creating the.
Yeah, I love, like Seth said, like how these highlights are.
I'm probably like 85, 90% done. And then I've got one last one here. We just lay this out here.
I was gonna say, how can I help?
Well, you hold on to this end. So keep walking there. So this is how I'll store more of these here in the future, and then when they need to be framed.
Wow.
Well, come, let's walk out. We'll put it out in the sunlight. You know. All right. So there's that. And look at it from this side, and it should make sense. The picture that I took, a photo that I took in New York City. It's a few blocks from Central Park. It might be over by Broadway. It's kind of open. You can do different things with it. It's still a city scene. You don't want the buildings to be too weird, but they are curved in because it was done with a like a fisheye lens. So all the buildings gonna come in at the top.
Someone's gonna have to tune into the comment section of this one. We'll drop in the comment section of this. Where this eventually, how it found a home.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's not again about them finding a home. They'll find a home. You know, if they're done right and they look right. And, again, it's not a turtle. So if you get a gallery going and it's like, oh, he paints turtles, and then it's like, well, we don't want the city scene. We always want your turtles.
Yeah, you don't want to be the turtle guy.
Yeah, I don't want to be any
guy.
Particular thing. It's like, but today I wanted to paint the city scene again.
Well, Dean, I can't thank you enough for showing us around here.
Thank you for your time.
Man.
Always good to see you. I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Both of you.
We'd of course like to extend a huge thank you to this week's guest, Dean Loucks. Dean was incredibly gracious in inviting us into his home and sharing with us his amazing works of art and the inspiring environment he's designed to create them in. Please make sure you are subbed with the bell, and we will see you on the next field trip.